All right, it's day 2 in this project with the Caprice. I got so frustrated with this thing yesterday that, I just had to close the hood and walk away or we were going to have a car fire. And let me show you what has been really just irritating me. And this is a design issue that Chevys have, and many other cars do the same thing. So it's not just exclusively Chevy. But it's the kind of thing I think that can get you, your company to go bankrupt. And how about that? GM went bankrupt at some point. Imagine that. Anyway, here's the problem. All right, I'm working on the passenger side exhaust manifold. And you can see it down there. I've got all the bolts out of it. I got all the plugs in where those other little tubes used to come out. But the back bolt, way back down in there, for the very back bolt, will not start. I worked on it for like an hour and a half, that one bolt. And it will not go. So hopefully after a night's sleep and a pot of coffee drank this morning, maybe it'll go right in. Maybe I can get this and I'll get this car put back together, because really once I get that one in there, it's just put everything back together and start it up. So let me see what happens. Looks like it's just down too far. Probably sunk as soon as I disconnected it. So I'm going to have to jack the front of the car up and pull the exhaust pipe loose so I can get this hooked up. That's all there is to it. I got to stop kidding myself. Okay, now that we're under here, you can see the flange up there. See that flange up there? And those bolts? That's what I got to get on now. I'm always afraid when I do these, because I've done this 100 times. And every once in a while, one of them suckers will twist right off because of the corrosion. And it doesn't matter what you do. If they're cooked together, they're cooked together. So the only way to really avoid twisting them off is to heat them up with a torch. But you really can't get a torch up in there without lighting the car on fire, especially one like this that's been leaking oil all over itself. So if I twist it off, then I got to pull the whole manifold out and work on the whole manifold, which is not the end of the world, but not what I wanted to do. So let's see how it works. While we're under the car, let's take a look at the fine General Motors craftsmanship, the kind of thing that no doubt caused them to go bankrupt. The quality issues here. See this here? This is the frame that comes back, and now mind you, this is a full-size Caprice, and that's wrapped around, looks fairly substantial, but you get right to here and it turns into this really thin thing. It's barely above sheet metal. It's just heavy gauge sheet metal, and that's the frame on this car. The body's mounted to it and everything. If you try to put a jack right there, you will just fold this car in half. It'll fold like a cheap card table. I would venture to say that a Chevy Caprice is not a good platform to put a rat rod on, that's for sure. I mean, it seemed to hold up sort of okay, although it would rust out rather quickly in the Midwest. And it turns into a boxed in frame once it gets back there. But for this 4 feet in the middle here, and you can see it's kind of wavy there where it's hit things, or it's just bent, that is not a sign of high quality. Okay, well, I got it out without twisting anything off, fortunately. You can see here, right here, all this white, that's where it was leaking. And you can see how greasy these are. A lot of the bolts were only finger tight. They were, you could just pull them out by hand. And so the oil leaking off of the valve covers would just go right in between the block and the heads and the exhaust manifolds. It's really disgusting. And then it would get in there somehow and foul the plugs out. So this one was the only one I think that was sealed. And this is the one in the front. And I got it out without twisting these off. That's good. And I don't see any cracks, so this bad boy's going back in after I clean it up. You can see I got the plugs in here where those pipes used to come out. It's all gonna work good. It's a this looks a little iffy right here, but I don't think that is a crack. I just think it's a scrape or something. But I'm gonna clean this up with the wire brush and make it so it'll seal good and put it back in.